Hello, you're listening to E-Bible Fellowship's new open forum excerpts, and now we present the following excerpt.
Welcome to our open forum program. Please go ahead with your call.
I was going to ask you if you could look at Isaiah chapter 11, verses 6 to 8. I know you've gone over this before, but I kind of forgot. I was just reading this passage and I forgot how you explained this, the time frame and what the spiritual meanings are.
Let's see, Isaiah 11, verse 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the sucking child shall play in the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Jehovah as the waters cover the sea. When we read this, we think of the original creation, because all the animals were peaceful with one another, all was good, there was no death, so they didn't kill and devour one another. And we can, I think, get an idea of the new heaven, new earth creation, creatures there will be of a similar nature. But I think in this context is the God stretching forth his hand a second time, as it says in that day in verse 10, and also in that day, verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. That day is when judgment began at the house of God. And that was the Great Tribulation. And in the time of the Great Tribulation, the Lord brought forth the things that had been sealed, the hidden information sealed up till the time of the end, including gospel, things that impacted the gospel, like the faith of Christ rather than faith in Christ. So the Lord purified the gospel message. And the ones bringing the gospel, because it was, I think we could say, a perfectly pure gospel message, in that it gave God all the glory for the first time. First time, it was the problem in the Old Testament. The Jews didn't properly understand the grace, the salvation of God, that it was of the Lord. It was a problem in the New Testament throughout the entire church age. Even those who were Reformed and they understood election, and yes, they would tell you it was of the Lord, but there would always be, in the teaching especially, there would always be this emphasis on, but you got to believe. You got to believe. And remember, in the Bible, with men are of the mindset, as long as you get something mostly right, that's good, that's fine, you're doing well. That's not how it is with God. The dead fly that falls into the ointment of the apothecary causes it to send forth a stinking savor. And a little leaven leavens the whole lump. And God has been very aware of the leaven that has leavened the whole gospel of the churches and congregations. They're always adding this little bit of work, and it has been a perversion. Well, at the time of the end, it's pure for the first time. The sending forth of the gospel over the electronic airwaves by family radio at that time, not today, at that time with Mr. Camping, and that gospel that went forth, and it did blanket the earth like the waters cover the sea, and it was 100% pure in giving God the glory. That it was not by the work of men, but by the grace of God, the faith of Christ, not by man's work of faith. And so with that, you see, if you, a lot of these creatures, like the cow, some of them could be used in sacrifice, and some of them, like the bear, the lion, the asp, identify with Satan, and Satan with his emissaries and their lies, their lying gospel. So, in other words, since God brought his people outside of the churches and congregations, it was within the churches and congregations Satan had his big focus. He wanted to be God and rule like God. So the Lord basically tricked him and said, okay, this has been your desire throughout all history, and I'll give it over to you. And so Satan takes his seat, and then God ends the church age, commands his people, get out, get out. When the people of God went out, we went from the danger of the asp, the danger of the bear and the lion. Proverbs likens wicked rulers to bears and lions. And that's Satan. He's typified by both. Was it two she bears that tore the 42 children, and 42 is the number of tribulation. And so all that danger, it's kind of like the curse that came upon the creation back in the Garden of Eden due to Satan's activity in deceiving man. Well, now the pure gospel, the right gospel, it's falling. It's like using this kind of figure. Well, you could lounge, you could have your children lay back upon the hole of the asp, because it's like, as far as that gospel's concerned, perfection has come. The grace of God is being lifted up. The faith of Christ is being exalted. And so no need to fear, as the creatures here are all peaceful. I think that's the general idea of this passage.
Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. That way you don't miss any upcoming videos.